All right. Well, let me shift from Emmaus, where they didn't recognize him. There we go. Good morning. Everybody rested? Ready to work? Ready to work? All right. I was thinking as milling around last night, meeting all sorts of alums from the School of Theology. Some I knew, some I didn't. Not to be too obnoxious, but if you could just raise your hand, how many of you are graduates from the School of Theology or attended here? All right. Well, welcome. Thank you. All right. Well, let's begin. My task is to begin with a review a process for you that's really been very organic, with lots of sources feeding into it and interacting in truly a kind of ecological image of interplay and mutual support. So I thought it would be helpful to do a brief review of the life that is behind these themes that we'll be outlining. So in 2001, St. John's School of Theology and Seminary convened 10 theologians in what we called the Collegeville Ministry Seminar. And the task was to consider the theology of lay and ordained ministry in light of what was clearly an increasingly widespread and enduring practice of lay people taking on ministerial roles in the Catholic Church. Now, the Church has a long-standing, sophisticated, and nuanced theology of ordained ministry, and appropriately so. But not so for the theology of lay ministry, its relation to the ordained on the one hand, and the apostolate of the baptized on the other. Now, we included this project in our proposal to the Lilly Endowment in its capacity building program, which was designed to increase the capacity of theological schools to serve the needs of the Church, essentially by educating its leadership. We argued that understanding the emerging phenomenon of lay ministry in the Catholic Church was an important ingredient in our capacity as a theological school to educate students for this ministry and this kind of leadership, but even more for increasing the Church's capacity for ministry. The members of that seminar were Susan Wood, who was the convener, Michael Downey, Zini Fox, Rick Gallardi, Orly Hagstrom, Kenan Osborne, David Power, Thomas Rausch, Alyssa Ranieri, and Kevin Seasolz. The fruit of that was a book available at the back, Ordering the Baptismal Priesthood, Theologies of Lay and Ordained Ministry, edited by Sister Susan Wood, who was then on our faculty. She's since abandoned us for another school. But still comes back when she can. The members of the seminar came together for a week here in Collegeville to work collaboratively on their papers. All of this set a pattern for how we thought we could work. It went well, and we wanted to do more of that. Out of that conversation, they also worked to identify points of agreement in their work. What common premises or conclusions did they have? These were published as points of conversion at the back of Ordering the Baptismal Priesthood that they proposed as, and I quote, principles to shape a theology of ordered ministries. Now, since our work has intentionally built on these points, we thought it important that we take note of them as our theological foundation. Now, in the text in Ordering the Baptismal Priesthood, there are brief explanatory paragraphs to go with each point. I'm going to omit those just in the interest of time here, but please do get a look at them if you can. They're very important and very well wrought. So, this will be brief. Theologies of ministry must begin with an experiential description of ministry today. Second point, baptism is an initiation into the life of Christ and the way of discipleship in the Church by which all participate in the mission of the Church. It is the ground for all discussion of ministry today. Point 3, mission is grounded in the divine mission of word and spirit, which flow from God's love for the world. 4, ministry, grounded in baptism, is the building up of the body of Christ for the mission of the church. Ministry not only serves the internal needs of the church, but enables the church to pursue its mission for the transformation of the world. Ministry is internal and external. Point 5, within the diversity of the Spirit's gifts, the life, communion, and mission of the church have been served by ordered ministries. Point 6, what is constant historically is the principle of sacramental order. What changes is how ministries evolve and are ordered. And number 7, these principles call us to an ongoing ecclesial discernment and a fresh articulation of an ordering of ministries. For example, installation and commissioning in the church in order to recognize emerging ministries and changes in church practice. So the 7 points from the first seminar. Now, we won't be rehashing these, but they're the background for what we're doing. So, we convened what we are calling, cleverly, the Collegeville Ministry Seminar 2, beginning in 2008. One thing that was clear to us, as Jeff noted last night, from the work of the first Collegeville Ministry Seminar, and even more from the 2007 Symposium, was that there was a need for a theology of vocation and authorization for lay ecclesial ministry. Based on our positive experience with the first seminar, we thought it would be helpful to convene a similar working group to contribute to the development of such a theology of vocation and authorization. So, whereas the first seminar focused on the general or foundational theology of ministry for the lay and the ordained, the second focused more specifically on topics of vocation and authorization. We had some pragmatic starting points, or maybe better, just catalysts for our understanding of vocation and authorization, kind of common sense ideas that we heard over and over and felt ourselves. First of all, vocation. From the students we work with here in the School of Theology, and from those many of you work with in programs across the country, from lay ecclesial ministers in all sorts of venues, and from your own life history, it's clear that these people are called by the Spirit to this work. It is a genuine vocation. The question is what that means, how it relates to other vocations in the church, and to other, perhaps more general uses of the term vocation in our culture. Authorization. It seemed obvious to folks involved that hiring a lay minister in a parish is not the same thing as hiring a janitor. Now, that's not to dismiss the importance, motivations, and even ministerial intentions to serve that many parish janitors have. But lay ministry is different. That's the easy part. The harder question is how it's different. What is the theology of this difference? What does it mean? How is it recognized in the community? Questions like these kept recurring, kept the issue current, and deserved attention. Now, early on in this, we decided it would be best to work with the USCCB, and they agreed. We also wanted to have some bishops involved in the conversation as much as possible, that is, as much as their schedules would allow. We knew how hard that would be, but given the structure of our church, these conversations are never the same if they're done apart from the bishops. So 3 of them made time to work with us, Bishop Amon, now Archbishop, Bishop Supich, and Bishop Hepner. And honestly, they were a delight to work with. We wish we had more of their time, but certainly understand. But they really helped and continue to be with us in this. There we go. So the members of this second seminar: Charles Boberts, Zini Fox, Ed Honenberg, Graziano Marcheski, Huffsman Espino, Linda Robitaille, Susan Wood. We had another member, but we lost him to the State Department when he was named ambassador to the Vatican. Jeff Castor and I participated and continue to, and Rick McCord also participated in the conversations but have not penned essays at this point. So, Collegeville Ministry Seminar 2. As some of you will recall from being there, last year at this time we convened a planning meeting attended by about 70 representatives of the sponsoring organizations and schools, as well as UCCB staff and our 3 bishop participants, all of them. The substantive focus of that conversation was the drafts of the chapters by the seminar members. The authors took the comments from that conversation and revised their essays into the versions you received in preparation for the symposium here. And if you were to do a Redaktionsgeschichte from the first to the second, you'd see an interesting pattern of convergence and real listening, we think, to what we heard at that gathering and sense. Now, this will be published eventually after the symposium by the Liturgical Press in a volume we're calling In the Name of the Church, Vocation and Authorization of Lay Ecclesial Ministry. It'll include these essays, some of the keynotes, and perhaps some other things still under negotiation. Following the lead of our predecessors in the first seminar, we too have produced points of convergence, and not to be outdone, we have 8 where they had 7. Not quite as symbolic, perhaps. From the essays and general reflection of the seminar members, the members have produced these. We, as a seminar, propose these points to you, the symposium, in the hope, as noted last night, that these points, or some variation on them, we want to serve as catalysts, not final doctrinaire authoritarians. So some variation on them become points of convergence not only of the authors of the second Collegeville Ministry Seminar, but of this symposium and its sponsoring organizations. Our thought is that if you endorse these, they have far more gravitas than if we do. And this would help these points and our work here together be something that makes a real difference in the life of the church and does not just sit on a shelf. You have the capacity and the power to make these points live in the lives of ministers in the church. Our hope is that by solidifying or nailing down a few points on which we generally agree, we might be able to move the conversation forward, even if just incrementally, and not keep going round and round and round on the same issues. This churning and repetition is something we've heard over and over again as a major source of frustration in the conversations of the last few years. Now, before we turn to these points of conversions, a few general observations. First, I want to note that these and other explanatory comments I'll be making have been reviewed and revised by the seminar members in a general way, but any comments I'll make in addition to the points do not have the same status of general agreement as the sentences stating our points of convergence. I say that not because I'm aware of any controversy around them, but simply because we have focused as a group much more intensively on framing these statements of our convergence, and I don't want to implicate my colleagues in something they have not fully endorsed that might just be Bill's idea. Second, though it goes without saying, we still think it important to say that the decades since the Second Vatican Council and its affirmation of the universal call to holiness have seen an explosion of ministerial opportunities for the baptized that do not require ordination or membership in a vowed religious community. That's why we're all here.